Here we go. All right, here we go. In three, two, and one. Hello, everyone, and welcome back once again to the Great Scott Podcast. Today, I am joined by actor Rhoyle Ivy King. How's it going, Rhoyle?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I gotta first ask you about how did your parents come up with the name Rhoyle?
Royal is just a part of the blending of my father's name, and so it happened very easily. It was a beautiful thing, and I'm just honored that it worked out.
Absolutely. So, one thing I was reading about you in my research is that you were raised not only in Houston but also in Kansas City, where I'm currently living at right now.
Wow.
So you're pretty familiar with the state of Missouri.
Yes, I was raised in Blue Springs, Lee Summit
Okay,
area.
yeah, yeah,
Uh-huh.
absolutely. Do you ever still come back here?
Yes, whenever I come home for like the holidays, when I can,
Oh,
we try
gotcha.
to stop through.
So you're on the West Coast then?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So tell me about your time here in Kansas City. Did you get most of your training here?
No, I moved there when I was 9 years old. My mom got married, and so from there I think I transitioned to middle school and then I graduated high school. But it was definitely the place where the love of theater began. As my grandmother would always say, that I really started performing way back in Houston, Texas, when she would pick me up from the daycare and I'd be having my boombox and singing to everybody in the daycare. And she's like, oh my goodness. So when she found out I was gonna, go into this industry, she was like, oh, it was always there. But Kansas City is where I really like got rooted into acting
Yeah.
and had some of my first experiences when it came to a Shakespeare camp and then auditioning for the fall play. And I think that was the moment when I was like, oh, yeah, this is what I'm going to do.
Yeah. Yeah. I was going to say, I mean, so it was right at like the Shakespeare camp when you had gone for it, that's where your love of acting came from. That was what kind of put you over the edge.
Oh, yeah. It was one of those things. I was encouraged and nudged by so many friends. They were like, I really think you would like this, because I was always singing and dancing. But they were like, I really think you would like this. I think you should give it a try. And finally, our parents were like, well, you're going to do something. Like, you got to get involved with something out here. And I was like, fine, I'm going to do the Shakespeare Camp. I did it, absolutely fell in love with it. And I think it truly gave me the confidence to go out that next year for the fall play. Because for me, that was such a scary thing, especially at the time there were shows like High School Musical
Mhm.
and Glee going on. So I was watching like some of the things that were going on in high school theater and things like that. So when it got to be my turn in reality, I was like, ooh, I don't know if I should do this, but I definitely think that Shakespeare Camp made me feel grounded enough to approach it.
Well, you had just mentioned musicals. You had stated that Fame the Musical was one of your hardest productions that you've ever done.
Yes, that show, the choreography to Fame is just
Oh,
as intense as it was in the movies and the TV show. And especially, because so many people have seen it and they know what it is, the expectation of the live on stage performance is so high.
yeah.
And our choreographer really made sure we met those standards. So yeah, every night it was very difficult training to be able to sing those numbers and dance at the same time. That was one of those shows that I was singing the score in the morning on the treadmill before heading into rehearsal, just to get my body used to an 8 show week of doing this. And on tour, where, sometimes you're sleeping on the plane, you're sleeping on the bus, things move so quickly and there's so much traveling going on. So to really get my body grounded in the work where it felt like a muscle memory, essentially, yeah, that was a hard show.
Now, were you doing the that musical on the cruise ships? Because I know that you were also a singer on cruise ships.
Oh, so then, yes, then after that, I went on to cruise ships and I did production shows. I did my own show. And that's where I learned so much more about I would say, my deeper connection to music. Because, at the time in musical theater, I wasn't doing anything from, the Motown era. Like, I wasn't doing anything from those times. It was mostly musical theater, which the truth of the matter is there's not too much Black representation in musical theater. So when I went to the cruise ships and I was just engulfed in so much Motown and so much disco and so many of these different kind of music that came from all these Black artists, that's when I was able to discover myself more. Like, especially looking up to someone like Prince. I was like, oh
yeah.
my goodness, like I've always loved you. But now stepping into music, I was like, I really love you.
Yeah. Now, just like Prince was, you are also a person of faith as well. You are a very spiritual person. I think that you would say.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. That to me is like the number one priority of getting to know me as a person, is knowing all in all, that's what it's all rooted in. I
Yeah.
think for me, it actually is my day-to-day walk. And from the early beginnings of my life, I remember, having one of the youth pastors call me out in a church service. And they called me out and they said, it wasn't what I thought they were going to say. They just told me, they said, I want you to know that, you shouldn't feel the responsibility to be like the other boys or act like the other boys, that God has a plan for exactly who you are, and exactly what he's given you. And I think that was the moment when, despite what the world said,
Mm-hmm.
that I was finally hearing something to go like, okay, God loves me too.
Absolutely. I agree with you. I also grew up in the church as well. My dad is a pastor, or was a pastor, and so I just relate to you on that aspect as well. So
Yeah.
yeah. But so I wanted to talk to you about your character in All American Homecoming, because when you had gotten the script, you started crying a little bit that they would even offer this.
Yeah, the moment that it really hit was in episode 3, which is when we really had an episode where we dived into Nathaniel's life on campus and some of the backlash that she's received about her dorm situation. And I remember telling the writer Cam, I was like, I don't know if you know how much truth you wrote into this scene and into this entire script. Because just for me as a person, probably one of the most uncomfortable situations truly is using a men's bathroom. I mean, it's just one of those things where you're in there and a man's like, you're in the wrong bathroom. And I turn around and they're like, oh, like, it's just always one of those moments. And so to have that be one of the biggest episodes as far as her story arc throughout the season, I just thought was so beautiful, because I think any queer person can relate to that fear or that awkward moments that you have using bathrooms, and just trying to get comfortable in a school that you paid for, you got accepted to, and you belong to as well. Yeah.
Absolutely. And you're on the spinoff. This is the spinoff of the All American called Homecoming.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you are the first non-binary character. Can you? I think you probably just explained that, but can you tell us what that means? The first
Yes.
non-binary character.
So for me, being the first Black non-binary character on this network is huge for the aspect of mostly the young queer Black kids that are watching, that probably to a certain extent, just like me, never fully saw themselves represented on screen, and definitely didn't see a character that was starting to pave a future for herself. And I think that's such an important thing as developing, as a young adult and trying to discover who you are and figure out where you want to go and your place in this world, is making sure that you have someone or some character that you can look at and feel touched by. So I definitely think for me, it's one of those things that I told the showrunner, it is healing in a full circle way.
Yeah, because you weren't supposed to originally be in the show. I mean, this wasn't like it was not really put in the show until you had come along and had auditioned for it, right?
Yeah, I mean, the character Nathaniel was written into the show, but she was only there for the pilot. It was just like 2 scenes, and that was all that was initially set for the character. And then NK, God, I love NK. She, gave me a big hug at the end of it. And I told her, I said, if you ever want me back, please, I would be honored. And she was like, I am so glad to hear that. And then from there, just being enveloped by the cast, it was like, okay, I felt home. That was really a beautiful thing.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, because NK, who's the show's creator, had talked about how, like you said, I mean, just to repeat what you said, that your character was only supposed to have a few lines, but now you're on 10 of the 13 episodes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. For those of us that, or for those of us, or not us, but I mean, those people that have not seen the show, can you tell us what it's about? Is it about like a extension of the original?
Yes. So Simone Hicks, who is from All American, she has graduated and gone to college at an HBCU here in Atlanta called Brinkston University. And so we are her new friends, her new family that surround her as she starts to, bloom and develop and become an adult. And it's a beautiful show that was created and written by Nkechi Okoro-Carroll, our incredible showrunner. And so, yes, it follows Simone and Damon Sims, who goes into baseball, and Simone, who goes into tennis. And truly, you get to watch the trials and tribulations of what it's like being a Black college athlete at an HBCU, where you are really encouraged and really pushed to your highest level of excellence. And I think it goes beyond just for the athletes. It's for all the characters, the teachers, the coaches. Everyone at this school is truly being pushed to the next version of themselves.
Absolutely. I love the show. I mean, I just love it. And it's been on since February. So it's been on for a couple months now.
Yes, we've been airing.
Yeah.
We just aired episode 8 last night.
Are you guys filming the next season?
No, we're still waiting to hear. We're hoping that we hear
gotcha.
something soon. So we're anxiously waiting.
So to go along with your career that you've had, there's also something very near and dear to your heart, and that's fitness. You're very big into fitness. I think that probably is probably your next passion after probably your faith and then acting, I'm sure.
For me, it's one of those things that, one person that I look up to is Bishop T.D. Jakes, and he taught this beautiful thing about how discipline equals love, and that's something that you care about, you are disciplined with. You wouldn't just give anybody your car. You wouldn't just hand your kid off to anyone, because the discipline and the restraint and the hesitancy is because you love them enough to not do that. And so for me, that really relates back into where fitness is in my life. It's one of those things that is discipline for me. It's not something that I say I enjoy waking up at 3:30 in the morning and on the treadmill at 4 a.m. But I enjoy carving out that time to go, we're here because we love ourselves. We're here because we have to put ourselves first, and we have to prioritize filling our cup, because all day we're going to be pouring. So those first couple hours of the day, for me, it's really important that I set the priority to make sure that I have something to give all day long. And for me, fitness is that thing where I go, I care about myself and I love myself enough to go, your health is important.
And that's quite the dedication too. Waking up at 3:30, The Rock's not even up at that point. I think he starts his day like 4 or 5.
Yeah, look, it's whatever we have to do, because one thing I do know, at the end of the day, when I have just wrapped, I'm done. Like the most that I want to do when I get home is I just want to start reviewing the lines for tomorrow, double checking my choices, and just really being confident. But then to go to the gym after a 16, 18-hour day, no, thank you.
No, I agree with you there. Yeah. But so going along with your fitness, you had caught the eye of the queen bee herself, Beyonce.
Yeah, so I would hope that maybe she's seen some of the stuff that I have done. But I was reached out to by one of the people that are a part of the brand, just to shoot and take a couple on more on the influencer side, as far as helping move the campaigns along when everything is released. And for me, I remember the day that I saw this little bitty picture. It was a big old collage she put up on her story of a whole bunch of people. She was saying, thank y'all so much and whatnot. And I saw my little picture up there, and that was all I needed. Just the fact that I was like, I'm on her story. I don't know if one of her assistants did this. All I know is I'm there. But the honor truly is all mine, because Beyonce is someone that I have looked up to, according to my mom, since I was in the womb. She would put it on her stomach and I would chill out. So for me to be in any way, shape, or form involved with her brand is such an important thing to me, and such something that I honor and I cherish, especially for the fact that her brand makes gender neutral clothing, which I think is so important in fashion, to make sure that we're making clothes that are indiscriminate to any specific gender. And to know that an artist that I care and admire, that's a priority in her brand, it's like, she's everything.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, Rhoyle, I wanted to just say one other thing here. Someone had asked you about what it takes to make it inside the entertainment business, and so I think that you had probably the greatest answer I think I've ever seen. That if it scares you, then you should be doing it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's one of those things that I feel like if it's nudging at you every day, and the thing that you see about it, you find intimidating, but it wakes you up in the middle of the night, and it wakes you up early in the morning, and it's the thing that you dream about. It's the thing that will send you off in a daydream when people are talking. I feel like that may mean it's your mountain. Mm-hmm. And the fact that it intimidates you is what should pull you towards it. I think the other important thing about that is, don't talk about it for too long, because I feel like as people, we have a habit to talk ourselves out of our dreams and talk ourselves down from it. And so I think the thing is, it's like, think about it, plan a strategy to start taking the first step and do something. Yeah. Because what you do is going to start a momentum that you can continue with. But just talking about it for too long, you can talk yourself out of it. And I've done that to myself. So I'm definitely speaking from experience, is I've talked myself out of things. And I learned that sometimes I got to go, do I want to do it? Okay, what are we going to do tomorrow about it? And that's what it comes down to.
I mean, I've had like big name famous people come on my show, like Tommy Chong and some other people, Ed Asner, and I'm always, and I always ask them, what does it take to make it into Hollywood, to the entertainment industry? And they'll give us the answer of got to have passion, you got to have, I mean, which is all true. I'm not saying that, but I think that that's the best answer that I've ever heard out of someone who has been asked that question, because it sounds like that you've thought about it yourself.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, the idea of doing something that doesn't scare me, it doesn't even necessarily register as correct in my brain, because anything that I feel like you are called for, it should intimidate.
It should scare you.
Like even the little platform that I have now, like, it's something that does make me nervous. It's something that does make me think twice about the things that I say and the things that I do. Mm-hmm. But that's because I care about it. And that's because I realize how important it is. And if it didn't do that, that's more of a red flag to me.
I remember also seeing, just to say one more thing about this, I was looking at Steve Harvey's Instagram, and he was holding this thing like this. I'm not sure what it was, but on it said, "Do one thing every day that scares you."
Yes.
And that has never been truer words from what I've heard and seen. And so I just want to say thank you for that. And I think that's just the greatest answer anybody could give.
No, thank you so much.
Absolutely. Well, Rhoyle, thank you so much for coming on under the program. Much continued success to you. And you can catch Rhoyle on the CW's All-American Homecoming. And when is it on?
It's on every Monday at 9 p.m.
Every Monday, 9 p.m. Thank you, Rhoyle.
Thank you so much for having me.